Welcome to the Up-Level Dairy Podcast. I'm your host, Peggy Coffeen, and it's my mission to bring you the conversations that will up-level your skill set and your mindset so you can be a top performer in the dairy farming business. And this week, we bring to you a 3-part series to celebrate the month of March: International Women's Day, Women's History Month, National Agriculture Day, and that is why we are right here today at Pagel's Ponderosa Dairy in Kewaunee, Wisconsin. We will be visiting with 3 very special guests, 3 women who are leading the way right here on the dairy, within their community, and far beyond into the industry. Jamie Witcpalek, Chase Pagel, and Ashley Pagel, each who bring a special and unique gift and experience to the roles that they have in moving this dairy farming business and family enterprise forward. This family has endured their share of hardships, particularly the tragic loss of John T. Pagel 6 years ago, the family patriarch and well-loved leader in this industry, as well as son-in-law Steve Witcpalek. Yet, this family has rallied together to carry on a legacy and a business, and you will be hearing from Jamie, Chase, and Ashley of the unique gifts that they are bringing, their experiences, and their true resilience that combine to continue to move Pagel Family Businesses forward. This special series is brought to you by Compeer Financial. Compeer Financial is a member-owned farm credit cooperative serving and supporting agriculture and rural America. Their dairy team brings world-class expertise and tailored solutions to support dairy producers' financial goals and lending needs. Find details for Compeer Financial in our show notes. I'm here today with Jamie Pagel Witcpalek. And Jamie, you are the chairwoman here at Pagel Family Businesses, which includes a dairy business side as well as a cheese business side. Tell us a little bit about Pagel Family Businesses.
Well, here we raise our calves, heifers, and cows. So we are taking care of our animals from day one. So we have our calf ranch, which is about 5 miles down the road. Our heifer location is about 1 hour away, and we are milking about 12,000 milking cows at multiple sites. We do also haul our own milk now, so we're in control of our milk, and we are making cheese right here on site. We make cheese curds, string, whips, and snow cheddar.
And when you say cheese, we're not just talking any cheese, we're talking award-winning cheese.
Yeah, so currently we are making curd, whip, and string. And we've won many awards, and we have a high quality, and I think a lot of it, again, is the quality of the milk that's going into that cheese, and the love that our employees put into that cheese makes it a little bit better too. And then we also are making snow cheddar, and that was like our prime cheese. We wanted to be an artisan cheese, and we went to the food show, and we tried multiple cheeses, but we had a profile we really liked, so we came back and we had some meetings, and Dad said we're going to have cheese called snow cheddar, and so that is our cheese, our specialty cheese. The rest that we're making, though, is the whip, string, and curd.
And I will give the testimonial. The snow cheddar, one of my absolute favorites. So Pagel Family Businesses includes the dairy business side, and it also includes the cheese business side. And you are chairwoman of the business.
Yes, so it's my job as chairwoman to make sure that we're taking care of all the families that work for us and taking care of all the Pagel family businesses. So we created a board. We meet monthly to go over, the larger, the business decisions, CapEx budgets, those kinds of things. And so it's my responsibility to make sure that we are operating and doing what's best. The other hat I wear is director of culture. So I make sure that we are providing a healthy culture for all of our employees at all the businesses, and then also taking good care of our employees. So we each split up what our strengths are. So JJ, he's the CEO, and he's taking care of the operations, and he focuses on the dairy side. Brian focuses on the maintenance side and the cheese side, and then I focus on the culture and employees.
And so when we say Pagel Family Businesses, it is you, yourself, representing your family. It is JJ, your brother,
yes,
and then also your brother, Brian.
Correct.
Yes.
And then we have a younger brother who does custom hauling and has his own business, but he chose to open his own business. So it's still nice that we still work together. It just, he doesn't work within the business.
So truly a family business, and I understand in its third generation.
Correct.
Yes, and one of the most well-known and well-loved representatives that Pagel Family Businesses is known for is your father, John T. Pagel.
Yeah, and so what happened is our grandfather purchased the farm, well, our grandfather and grandmother purchased the farm back in 1946. And then Dad finished Farm Short Course and purchased it in 1978. Now we are carrying on his legacy, and the three of us are operating the business.
You talked about your role as chairwoman, but also culture and employees. And Jamie, that piece right there, that piece of defining a culture and making it something that permeates throughout the businesses, that's your passion, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thing is too is when we operated everything with Dad was always so positive and radiant, and it was all about having that positive culture and the we win and how can everybody contribute and how can we accomplish our goals, and just always radiating positivity. And I love working with the employees, and that's my passion, and I love doing that. And I think that it isn't always easy, and we always have things to work on, but we're always working on creating the best culture we can within all our businesses. So.
Mm-hmm. And how would you describe the culture here?
Well, I think that we have a positive culture, a culture that is focused on family, on trust, having a little fun if we can, a lot of passion and hard work. And so, like I said, every area we always have, departments that we're working to make improvements and things, but those are the things that we try to instill. We try to instill our values, and that is by living first, which is family, integrity, respect, sustainability, and trust. So living first is what our values are, and that's what we try to live by, and that's what we would like our employees to live by as well.
So Jamie, your role with creating that culture and also serving as chairwoman of the business, it's really the culmination of many, many years since you were a little girl sitting at the kitchen table watching your dad start to lay out plans and dreams for what this would and could someday be here.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that, because Dad always had a dream that we were all going to be here. And when I went to college, I had no plans on coming back. I was not going to come back to the farm. And Dad always said, one day you will. There will be something for you. And I always thought, no, I'm not. But lo and behold, after we had our first daughter, Dad wanted some help with handbooks and things like that. And I had went to college for business, and human resources is one of my emphasis. And he needed a lot of help on the human resource side. So I just started working very part-time out of the living room with my dad and stepmom that he turned into an office 20 years ago, and that is how everything came to fruition what it is today. I started in the living room, we had 2 businesses, and I grew with Dad next to him and his right-hand woman over all these years, and look where we are today.
Yeah. Look where we are today, Jamie. And you've always been an instrumental part of this business. Even in the times when you thought it may not be your future, you still were a part of a bigger plan. And that's the role that you are enacting now. And Jamie, you have risen to an even higher level of leadership here at the dairy, leadership in the community, and even beyond. But there's been some tough times over the past years, and 6 years ago was a really, really pivotal moment for your family, and really for the whole dairy community. How did you get through that?
So it was so hard. It was so hard. And I thank God I had kids, because I had to move forward because I had them. I had to get out of bed, and I didn't want to get out of bed. And I had to be a mom, but all I really wanted to do was sleep. I couldn't sleep either. I just wanted to lay in bed. I didn't want to function. I I didn't even really want to be here, to be honest. I thought, why am I going through this pain? This is terrible. One day I went from having this amazing husband and this great marriage and an amazing father, and the next day my whole world was turned upside down. And what was so hard, it was turned upside down at home, but it was turned upside down at work. So I couldn't get away from it. And I thought, oh my God, I have to be there for my kids. I have to be the mom and the dad, and I have to be there for them, but I also have to be there for everybody at work. Everybody, in my mind is, how are we going to function? How are we going to do this? How are we going to work through this? And so I just had my mindset that I don't have a choice. I can't crawl in a ball and do what I want to do, crawl up in a blanket and not do anything. I have to get up. I have to be there for my kids, and I have to be there for all the families at work that are depending on us. Because right now, we have to take care of everybody that works for us and take care of our family. And what was so tragic too is everybody else was grieving around us. My kids were grieving, my family's grieving, my husband's family's grieving, our employees are grieving. It was terrible, and it's still terrible to this day. I think that's why 6 years later, it's still so hard and still so difficult working through this grief, because we didn't have time enough to breathe and grieve, because we just had to go to it. I had to be a mom, I had to be a dad, I had to wear all these hats at home, but we had to jump back in and get back into work, and we didn't have a choice.
Yeah. So you just mentioned the incredible grief, and through grief comes also growth and grit. Mm-hmm. And you've grown and you've dug into grit in a way that many of us can't even imagine. Jamie, what's helped you? How have you pulled that out from inside of you to not just go through the motions, but to truly grow?
Of course, my kids were the ones that pushed me the hardest, because they didn't push me because they were pushing me. I just knew I have to be a good mom and I have to be a good dad. I have to take care of these kids, because I was involved in a lot of I was signed up for widow emails. I signed up for Facebook groups and different things like that, because as a mom, I'm like, I don't know what to do. We went to counselors, and my kids didn't like the counselors. We tried so many things. I was so worried that the kids were not going to be okay. So I'm like, okay, I have to figure out how my kids are going to be okay. What do I have to do? How is it that they're going to grow up to be successful little individuals and not go down the wrong path or take a direction that I was fearful of, because I was involved in these groups and I saw what other parents were going through. And I thought, I need to get out of bed. Jamie, you need to get out of bed. You need to figure out what you need to do. But it was so exhausting and so hard. But our friends and family were amazing. So my aunt would send me messages. And I remember sometimes I would read them. Sometimes I wouldn't even read them. But every morning she'd send me a text. And one morning the text said, you need to be the one where when your feet hit that floor, the devil says, oh crap, she's up. And I'm like, that's right. That's right. And I remember sitting up. I remember putting my feet on the floor. I'm like, that's right. I'm getting out of bed. I'm going to tackle the day. And I got out of bed. But you wouldn't believe how hard it was to get out of that bed or to even get dressed. It was so hard. And I know too, people don't know and don't go through those things until they're in that situation. But our friends and family were huge. And my mom was helping out wherever she could. People in the community were helping with the kids. Our family was amazing, whether it was stopping over with a coffee to listen to me cry, someone to talk to. But if I wouldn't have had our friends and family and our employees here, I wouldn't have survived it. But because of all those different elements, they helped me work through it. They were the ear that I needed to talk to. They were the ones my best friend used to tell me, you're going to get out of the house today. Well, my daughter would cry if I would leave the house. So she needed to know where I was at all times. So then my getting out of the house was walking around the block. She was okay if I walked around the block. And I didn't even want to get outside and walk around the block. But one of the best things when you go through something like that is the sunshine. So my best friend would make me walk the block. So it was my friends and family and the kids that helped me work through that. But it takes an army to do it. It is so hard. It really is so hard. So I'm very fortunate for all the friends and family that I have and that have helped me get out of the bad place that I once was in.
Yeah. And it sounds like there were many people that lifted you up.
Yes.
But you also lifted yourself up. And that has led you to have an incredible impact, Jamie, not just here at the dairy, but so far beyond into the industry. You've stepped into leadership roles. You're serving on boards beyond just here at the farm. You're serving in leadership capacities across the industry now. And Jamie, you are truly an inspiration.
Well, that's very nice of you to say. However, I just look at things. So 6 years ago, it was dark, and I went from the person right before the accident who was at work, shooting rainbows and unicorns and, spreading all this confetti that, how can we be positive and, all motivational. And my role was to create positivity and motivate our employees and how can we be better and what do we need to do. And then I went through this time period of just being in darkness, and I hated my life, and I didn't know what I was going to do, and why did this happen to me? And I know I could read all the inspirational things I wanted to, but I literally wanted to shoot the unicorn. I didn't even want to see this unicorn. It's so hard because everyone, it's going to get better. It's, I really don't care what you know what I mean? Like, you can say everything you want to say, but you're not in my shoes. You do not know how bad this is. Like, this is terrible. And so then I kept trying to read things about, climbing up that mountain. And then so many things are just one step. And I'm like, you know what? I got through today. I'm not going to worry about tomorrow, but I got through today. And I remember having to tell myself, okay, this is what I did today. I got the kids to their functions. We got through today. And then I remember thinking, okay, and then there has to be a light at the end of the tunnel, or I'm climbing this mountain that I know the view is going to be beautiful when I get there. But right now, I can't see anything. I'm just climbing up this mountain. And sometimes I fall down that mountain, and sometimes I make it back up. But I'm not at the top of it yet, and I still am striving to get there. But then I'm like, I need to continue and go back to who I was and be that person and make a difference and create that positivity. And I can't do good things if I'm not involved, because of course we all can talk the talk, but you have to walk the walk. And I know within the dairy industry, it's up to us to provide that future for our generation, the next generations. Well, if you're not involved, then you can't make that difference. So I have been involved from that aspect because I feel the dairy industry is very important, and our generation and the future generations, everything that we do is depending on the decisions we make today. I mean, we look at 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and where we're at today. Well, where are we going, in the future, and what does that look like? So I'm happy to be on the edge board and to make a difference and do what I can there. But I am also very involved in the community. I'm on the Build the Future. We started a PTO for the high school because, of course, they only have PTA for the grade school and all those kinds of things. So I continue to be very involved to make a difference for my kids, for the community, and for the dairy industry.
So Jamie, you found your hope, you found your faith, and as you said, you continue to climb that mountain, and you are doing it.
Yeah, it's hard. It is very hard. I mean, I can put on quite the face on the outside, but it is still really hard on the inside. Yeah. Like I am still trying, and one thing is, just advice to all the other moms out there, or anybody who's going through difficult times, no matter what it is really taking the vitamins, getting the sunshine. Well, actually, taking vitamins, getting outside, enjoying that sunshine, but also trying to make the time to spend, whether it's exercising or doing something with friends or whatever it is, because I know too, we're always so busy. And I know when I was in the darkest days, I had a really hard time because I didn't have time, because I was everything at home and I was trying to do what I could here. So it was a struggle. So it's like, now though, I do always find excuses to not do it. So I'm trying to be better at that. But one piece of advice that I have for people is make the time to prioritize and do the things that really bring you joy, because we don't know when this life is over. We don't know what our journey looks like, but we only have the ruler of life. So even if you look at that ruler, where you at on that ruler, you only have so much time. So what can you do to bring yourself joy? Because this is all you got. You have one life to live. And I think we spend so much time living everybody else's lives, or just trying to get through the day, or trying to get through the week, or run around with our kids and do all these things, but we don't make the time to make ourselves feel better. I am really good at putting out the vitamins for my kids and not taking them for myself. I am really good at doing whatever I have to for my kids, but I really struggle making 30 minutes to get the workout in because I want to, but I don't want to, right? Or this year for Lent, instead of giving something up, I decided to do something that brings me joy. Well, so I scheduled the time with my girlfriends, my high school girlfriends, and we got together. It was fantastic. But it's surrounding yourself with the right people. That's why I'm here today, because I'm surrounded by great people, strong women who have helped bring me up, helped me grow through what I went through, and that is a key point, is spend the time, bring yourself joy, but also spend your time surrounding yourself with the right people, because those people are going to bring you up. They're going to make you happy, and they're going to bring you a lot of joy.
Yeah. And it reminds me of something I've heard you say before. We grow through
what you go through.
What you go through.
Yeah, so one of our colleagues that are very near and dear to my heart that we work with within the industry, she gave me that bracelet that said, grow through what you go through. And that was so meaningful to me, because I was like, that's right. Everybody has hard times. Everybody goes through hardships. I'll get through this. I just don't know what Dad wants me to do, is what I was thinking. And then I thought back and I thought, Dad had a plan, but what is my plan, and what does that look like? Because I'm always living Dad's plan. I'm living Dad's dream. And I'm still struggling with, what does my future look like? But we're working on it and taking those baby steps. And I'm happy to be here today, because I did question, should I be working here? Should I, not be? What do I do? And I didn't really know what that answer was. And ironically, I brought that up as I was sitting in my office, and my door was locked. I couldn't get out, because I said, Dad, just give me a sign already. I went to go open the door. I could not get out of my office. I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't get out. I have the lock on my side. And I thought, this is the craziest thing. I have the lock on my side, and the girls had to unlock the door with a key. I could not get out. So then I thought, well, Dad wants me to stay, is what I was thinking. But it has been hard, and I am really proud that my brothers and I are here together, and we have grown the business and have taken care of our employees, and we are functioning and doing as good as we are today, because people questioned where we were going to go, what was going to happen, and all the rumors were out there. But I'm just so proud to be where we are today. And the three of us are running the business, and we have such great employees that have stuck with us, because that was another concern. Will people leave? Dad was a boss, but he was also a father, a friend. Steve, too, it was really, really hard. And we had lost Dad, who was so amazing, and Steve too. Steve was so amazing, and all of a sudden, what are we going to do when Steve is running things on the outside and Dad's on the inside? And what are employees going to do, and what are employees going to think? But they all pitched in, and we all rallied together, and we stuck together, and the ship is going in the right direction, and things are strong and things are good. But it was scary not knowing what that was going to be, and it is hard, and it's still really hard. Every day is still really hard, but we're working through it, and we're still all here. We're still having Christmases together, and our youngest brother is involved too. Yet he does custom cropping on his side, so he has his own custom business, but he still works with the family. So things are okay. We're okay. It's still a long road, and there's still a lot of work to be done, and it's still tough for the whole happiness aspect of things, but it's always a work in progress.
Yeah, and so you weren't the only one who, to your words, grew through what you went through. Grow through what you go through is a mantra for this entire operation.
Right.
And your family members, the employees here.
Yes.
Yeah, and in the moment when you really were questioning yourself, and if you were in the right place by continuing to be here at the dairy in your office, the moment when you questioned that was the moment when you got stuck in your office.
Right. Because I was just crying, and I just didn't know what to do. I don't know that, I can't believe, of course I was so angry with God, and I was like, why would he do this to me? There's two amazing men, and why would he take them both, and how do I do this? And because most people, when something happens, you can go home to get away with it, or away from it, or you can go to work to get away from it. I couldn't get away from it. It was the sadness was always there, just because there was so much love and so much happiness. I was so sad walking in the door, so sad coming home. I just couldn't get through the sadness. It's still sad today. Yeah. But then I think, too, I just said, I don't know what Dad wants me to do. I don't know what to do. And then one of our employees was walking in, so I went to open the door, and it was locked. And I was like, there's no way this door is locked, because I have the lock. And I couldn't get out. And I was like, okay, all right, Dad. He's thinking, don't be rational. You're going to get through this. And it was so hard. But we've made it to where we are today. There's still a lot more to go. But, the mountain's only so high, and the sun is shining, and the view's going to be beautiful when I get to the top. We're just not there yet. So it's still working through the grief. It's still so hard. But if I had purpose to be there to take care of my family, but I also had to take care of the employees here. Yeah. So that is why I couldn't leave. I couldn't leave them, and I couldn't leave the family. So, I felt like God didn't give me much choice. But then I think, too, there's a purpose, and I don't know what the purpose is, but I hope that maybe by doing these kinds of things, and I have been giving speeches and other stuff, I hope that maybe people will listen a little bit from a family aspect when they have the family business, and they think, another piece of advice would be to start that succession planning. Have those conversations today. We are just getting back into our succession planning and our transition planning, and so we hired a new attorney because we weren't getting far enough where we wanted to be, and we don't know what that road looks like. We need people to help us pave that road, and so we weren't getting where we weren't where we wanted to be. But people need to have those hard conversations now, because when that grief hits and you're planning a funeral and you're planning what the prayers are going to be, and you're picking songs and you're picking out picture boards, and you're devastated, the last thing you're going to do is worry about what's all going on at the business. But you don't have a choice. You have to worry about the business. So if people would have those tough conversations now and start planning and helping that next generation, or even if it's not a family generation, but their employees, so that the employees are taken care of when something happens, that is huge. And so many people are not doing it because they don't want to deal with it, but I cannot emphasize that enough, to start succession and transition planning.
Yeah. So that was one of the things that you've been able to share with others that you've learned as a result, and what a gift it is that so many of us can learn from you, and you've been willing to share that experience and this story, Jamie. Is there anything else that you have learned that you've been sharing with others that can help them, whether their path is part of a family business, whether their path is as a mom, whether their path is going through their own grief?
I think a lot of it is making the time is one piece of it, and then doing the things that make you happy is the second piece of it. So making the time to spend with your family and friends and doing all the things that make you happy and bring you joy, but making the time to take care of yourself too from a health standpoint. Take that time to get the exercise in. Make the time to take those vitamins. Make the time to make dinner together as a family. Make the time. A lot of us don't make the time because now we're so busy in the hustle and bustle, we aren't making the time. We're just getting through the day. And then all of a sudden you get to 9 o'clock at night and you haven't been present. You don't even know what you did that whole entire day because you're on your phones. You're involved with so many things, you don't make the time. And I think I've been just evaluating life in general and thinking, we only have this one life to live. Do what makes you happy. If it's taking that trip, don't prolong the trip, take the trip. If you want to, buy something that you've always wanted to buy, figure out how you're gonna buy it. And you have to make the time to prioritize the things that mean the most to you. Because otherwise you're so focused on everything you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do and who wants you to do what and what they think you're supposed to do and taking care of everybody else. It's like, wait a second, I don't really have to have that. It doesn't make sense, or I don't have to have that because of this. It's really about bringing yourself joy and making that time to make yourself happy and your family and what that future looks like.
Oh, Jamie, what you've shared with us today will have an incredible impact because we can all learn something and take something away, whether it's prioritizing, making the time, right, for ourselves to spend time with some friends, to take care of ourselves. Take the gosh darn vitamins, right? As you said them out for your kids. Do we take them ourselves? And just doing the things that bring you joy. And it's such a gift that you've been able to share that with us, because you have come to that through your own grief and growth and grit. And Jamie, you are a true inspiration to so many of us. You've inspired me for years and only continue to grow in the way that you lead and the way that I've watched you have an impact. And there are many others out there that would say the very same thing. But I'm curious, as we kind of wrap up this conversation today, who inspires you?
That's a good question. I suppose, there's many people that inspire me. I think that when I think of dreams and things like that, I always think, gosh, Dad was so inspirational because he was living the dream and everybody knew he was living the dream, right? And so he was so inspirational from early on because he instilled values. Like, I just love the values and everything he has taught me and what he has done as a leader, but what he has done as a dad, what he has done as a father. And our relationship was so meaningful, but so impactful because I've learned so much. So he's inspired me so much. But my mom is also very inspiring. She worked so hard when we were kids and juggled multiple jobs. Amazing mom, made all our games. Just such a wonderful, hardworking person. So very lucky to have such hardworking parents who have had such strong values and just great parents. Very, very lucky. And then I'm inspired by people that are within the industry. So I'm inspired by like Cousin Christy. who buys a flower shop when she's got all these things on her plate. Christy does, because she's fulfilling her dream. Or I'm inspired by Chase. She's writing a book, I'm inspired by anybody who is able to fulfill their dream. They're just so inspirational. I'm like, gosh, I want to do that, or I wish I could do that, or, how are they doing that? So that, I'm very inspired by people who fulfill their dreams, but I'm also inspired by people that are doing things like what you would do, right? You try to change people's lives and make impact, and positive impact, I should say, and are always trying to create positive environments, because I think of all the people, all the channels, and all the negativity that surrounds us. So I'm always inspired by people who make a difference, or try to bring positivity, or try to make life better. How can we learn and grow? And I'm inspired by people like this one gal on Facebook. Her name is Beth. She has the most inspirational, motivational workouts and quotes, and I want to be her. I want to be just like her, and she makes me want to work out. So I am inspired by a lot of different people, and I'm inspired by my kids. There's so many different people that inspire me for various reasons, but I think it's always because in order to be better, you have to be inspired by people who inspire you to be a better person.
Yeah, and you take that inspiration and you channel it to
That's right.
bring joy to others, to create the culture here at the dairy within Pagel Family Businesses, to lead your family, to lead this operation, and to lead the dairy community, Jamie. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think, like I said, just, live the best life that you want to live, and live the best life. And by living that best life, you have to prioritize and make the time for the things that mean the most.
Well, Jamie, you just dropped some wisdom that we can all jot down and take home. And I thank you so much for joining us on the Up Level Dairy podcast.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Up Level Dairy podcast. This special series is brought to you by Compeer Financial. Compeer Financial is a member-owned farm credit cooperative serving and supporting agriculture and rural America. Their dairy team brings world-class expertise and tailored solutions to support dairy producers' financial goals and lending needs. Find details for Compeer Financial in our show notes.